I think that there's a lot of like bad stigma around influencers. I truly started from scratch and I worked like a bunch of different odd jobs to kind of make ends meet while I was vlogging at the time. It's really a great time for micro influencers to come in and take their spot and kind of be the next generation of bloggers.
What was it like growing up in Vancouver, and how did you first get into blogging?
The traditional university route was not the route I wanted to take. I definitely knew I wanted to be in fashion, but I didn't know exactly which route I wanted to go in. So I went to John Casablanca Institute for in Gastown, and it was a really broad program that kind of helped you decide which path you wanted to go down in the fashion industry. So you took courses from like illustration to fashion buying to textiles to social media. And in that class, I had to create a blog and kind of submit blog posts every week. And I truly enjoyed it so much that I just kind of continued doing it post, college. But don't look it up. It's honestly so horrifying to look at now. Like, I'm not wanting to go down that road.
I imagine it's like that for a lot of people. Like if you look back at their early stuff, it's just so different and not the vibe now.
The content I create is very different to what I created back then, but it's how I got started and it's what got me where I am today. So I'm proud of it.
And how has your career evolved, since like West Coast girl? How have you come from that to where you are today?
I'm now strictly on YouTube, my Instagram. I also have a website. I also have a podcast now. I feel like when I first started out, I had no networking opportunities. Like I didn't have any connections from the get-go. Like I didn't come from a family that was in fashion. My parents didn't know anybody who would introduce me to anybody, which I feel like a lot of people just assume. But I truly started from scratch and I worked like a bunch of different odd jobs to kind of make ends meet while I was vlogging at the time, I guess.
You really came in kind of earlier than a lot of other people, which I think is really beneficial. What would you say to people that want to start up now, but I think a common conception is that it's an oversaturated industry, so they're a little nervous that they're too late to the game?
When I first started blogging and first started Instagram, honestly, maybe like a handful of bloggers were monetizing it at the time. I remember not even thinking it could be a job, but now people go into it looking at it as a career, which is completely different about it now. But I think that it's still, an opportunity for anyone and everybody who wants to do it. The only thing I would say is as long as you're fully yourself and you're not trying to, imitate somebody else or imitate a different aesthetic or try to be someone you're not, I think you could totally be successful still in this industry, and there's room for everybody and anybody. And I think that honestly, a lot of brands now are looking at micro influencers more than ever because, the big influencers that started out 10 years ago, they are, in a whole different career path now. Like they've created brands for themselves. They've created tangible things and they don't have time to promote, Instagram posts for different brands and clients and stuff now. So it's really a great time for micro influencers to come in and take their spot and kind of be the next generation of bloggers.
I think that's a great point. Like if you're authentic, there's always room for something new, and people there's no limit to how many people can be Instagram influencers. People can have an unlimited amount of followers.
I agree, totally. And there's always new platforms coming out too. Start on Instagram, but you never know, in 2 years from now, some person is going to come up with an app that's now going to be the new platform that everyone needs to now transfer their Instagram followers over, and everyone's starting from scratch. So there's never a bad time to start.
Do you have a common misconception that you often get from people about your career because it's so unique?
I think that there's a lot of bad stigma around influencers, and a lot of people don't realize how much work it is to actually be an influencer in quotations. You're your own photographer, you're your own makeup artist, you're your own designer, you're your own, literally there's everything under the sun. You're running a company and you're an entrepreneur. And I think that a lot of people don't give enough credit to us and people in this industry and how much work really goes into it. I see the behind the scenes of all my friends, and I've never seen women around me work harder in my entire life.
And what do you think is unique about being an influencer here in Vancouver and coming up in Vancouver compared to other big Canadian cities like Toronto or Montreal?
It's just so beautiful, the landscape, how we get to go to the beach, we get to go to the mountains within literally 10 minutes of each other, which is so crazy to me. I think growing up here, you could go to Whistler, you go down to Tofino. I think that kind of differentiates us from other cities, even though, I love Toronto, I love Montreal, the architecture there, the history there is so beautiful, and every city in Canada is so unique and beautiful in its own. But I do think that Vancouver really hit the most beautiful, it's just so beautiful. Don't you think?
I've lived in other Canadian cities and I can testify Vancouver is my favorite.
I know. And honestly, that's not the first time I've heard that.
And I know you gave advice about breaking into the industry right now, but do you have any advice for people in Vancouver specifically that want to start doing a career like you have, building a personal brand?
My biggest advice is to network. How I started was I messaged so many girls on Instagram that I felt like were like-minded like me. And I was like, hey, like, do you want to collaborate? Or hey, do you want to grab coffee? I would love to chat with you about like what this job is. And like just finding like-minded people who can, motivate you and help you shoot, help you create content and guide each other through the industry and help start out, I think is really important. Having a good support system is really important when you're starting out. I feel like more and more brands are starting to host events in Vancouver, which is amazing. And I'm really excited about it to see the industry grow here. I always say, just go to the event, no matter what it is. If you're invited, go to it, put yourself out there. I always say the story of one time when I first started out, I was in LA and I got invited to this really random event. It was like a food event. I actually met one of my best friends at that event. There was no reason for us to go to that event. We both aren't food bloggers. We really didn't need to go, but we were just like so young and like hungry for this industry, not hungry for food for the food event, but hungry for just to be like successful in this industry, that we were like, we need to put ourselves out there and go there. And since we both thought that way, we met each other at the event and now we've been friends ever since. And she's to this day also still a blogger as well. And we both hang out all the time and it's just been amazing. So I just say, put yourself out there, go to every single event and meet everyone you can, because you never know who will be there.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our Narcity channel to see more content just like this.